Dear students, very good morning. Till today, I taught you what are conditional statements. As we know already, conditional statements are also called as selection statements or branching statements or decision making statements. These are used by C programmers to execute certain block of statements based on certain conditions. That is, we can execute or we can skip based on certain condition. Already I taught you what is simple if. Simple if was one of the one-way decision making statement available in C language. Only if the given condition is true, then only it executes true block of statements, otherwise no. That is what the simple if. If else was two-way decision making statement. That means one of the two will be executed. We have two choices. True block statements will be there as well as false block of statements will be there. If the given condition is true, true block is going to work, otherwise false block is going to work. That is what if else we studied. Afterwards I taught you nested if statement. Nested if was one of the multi-way decision making statement. We select one of the many. If we use if within the if, you can call it as a nested if, or you can use if else within the if. That is what we called nested if statement. We looked at explanation, syntax and examples for all the three. In today's class I teach you first else if ladder, afterwards I teach you switch statement. These two are also conditional statements available in C language. These two are also multi-way. That means we select one of the many alternatives. But the problems whichever we can solve by using nested if are different. The problems whichever we can solve by using else if ladder are different. The problems whichever we can solve by using switch are different. By practice we'll come to know which one I need to use to solve which problem. In today's class, now I teach you else if ladder statement. First of all, one thing is very important. Else if ladder is also called as cascaded if statement. In the examination, sometimes in the questions you are going to get the question like this: explain the cascaded if. That means you need to explain else if ladder only. Don't come in confusion. Now I start today's class. The else if ladder. The else if ladder statement is also called as cascaded if statement. How to explain about it in examination? It is another multi-way selection statement or decision making statement or branching statement available in C language to select one from many alternatives. Why it is called as else if ladder? What is the reason behind that? Why it is called as cascaded if? What is the reason behind that? That one I explain. Look at the syntax here. If else has been used only in the else part of previous if else. See here, this one is the if else. In the else part, one more if else has been used. See, in this else part, one more if else is used. See, in this else part, one more if else is used. Like this, you can include if else within the previous else part of the previous if else. That's why this is called as else if ladder. Ladder means there we found some pattern. Equal gap will be there between the supports. One pattern we found there. Similarly here also we can find one pattern. See the pattern. If else is there in the previous else. If else is there in the previous else. If else is there in the previous else. Like this you can nest n number of times. Then if you want to stop, then else default statements will be executed. Statement X not related to this else if ladder. This else if ladder is also called as cascaded if. As we know already, cascade means fall on one another. Okay, that's why here you can see the if else is there in the previous if else in previous else, if else in previous else. So it is also called as cascaded if statement. How to explain about the cascaded if in examination? It helps the programmer to use another if-else statement only within the else part of the previous if-else statement. So it is called as else-if ladder or cascaded if. The syntax of this one is as follows. If the given condition 1 is true, then the statement 1 works. Assume that first one is true, then statement 1 works. Afterwards it will not check any remaining conditions, directly statement X. Assume that if the first one is false, then only machine will check the second condition for true or false. Assume that first one is false, second is true, then statement 2 works, followed by statement X. Assume that first one is also false, the second one is also false, then third one will be checked by computer. If it is true, then statement 3 works. Assume that first one is also false, the second one is also false, third one is also false, then next one will be checked. If it is true, this executes, followed by statement X. Like this you can check n number of conditions. How many times? That depends on problem which one you are going to solve. Assume that all these conditions are false, then only machine follows default statements, otherwise no. That means we have how many choices here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, n number of choices. But machine follows one of all these. Okay, that's why it is called as multi-way decision making statement available in C language. In exam, if you have time, if that carries more marks, after writing this syntax, you can explain like this. In the above syntax, expression 1 will be evaluated or checked by computer for true or false. If it is true, it follows statement 1, otherwise it will check the expression 2 for true or false. If it is true, it executes statement 2 followed by statement X. Like this the process continues. If there is no match found or if there is no condition satisfies, machine executes default statement followed by statement X. In your own language neatly you can explain. If you do so, you get very good marks in the examination. This explanation carries 1 marks, this syntax carry 2 marks or 1 marks, example carry 2 marks. Now I explain you the example. Now you have to develop one software. That means you need to write one program. That means that program reads your average marks. That means whenever you run the app or whenever you run the software or run the program, that software will ask you to enter your average marks. If your average marks is in between 80 and 100, then that software or the program will give us the result honors grade. If the input given by you is in between this range, then it displays first division. If input given by you is in between this, second division, in between this range, third division, in between this range, fail. C program to display the grades obtained by student based on the average marks scored by him or her. Then how to write this program? Hash include stdio.h void main. Think how many variables we need to solve it. Just we need one float type of variable because we give only one average as an input. Okay, that's why float avg. Enter your average marks. Okay, or enter the average marks scored by student. This must be user friendly. Then whatever the average marks I enter, that will be stored in avg. Then machine will check whether the contents of avg is more than equals to 80. Assume that it is true, then it prints honors. Next program completes. Assume that that is not greater than 80. That is not greater than 80 means definitely less than 80. Definitely less than 80 means I check for more than equals to 60. If the first one is false, then I check for greater than equals to 60. Assume that it is greater than equals to 60. That means that is in between 60 and 79 only, because it is not more than 80. Not more than 80, less than 80. Whether is it more than 60? Yes, in between 60 and 79 only. So I display first division. Assume that entered average marks is not more than 80. Entered average marks is not more than 60, more than or equals to 60. Means what? Lesser than 50. Then I check for greater than equals to 50. It is greater than equals to 50 means definitely it is in between 50 and 59 only. So I display the message second division. Assume that not greater than equals to 80 also, not greater than equals to 60 also, not greater than equals to 50 also, not greater than equals to 50 also. That means less than 50. Then I check for more than equals to 40. Yes, it is more than equals to 40, means in between 40 and 49 only. Then I display the message third division. I asked many questions like this. More than equals to 80, you said no. More than equals to 60, you said no. More than equals to 50, you said no. More than equals to 40, you said no. Don't ask some more questions. If all these conditions are false, means definitely the student has failed. Program is over. In this example, get CH is statement X. Every time it works. But here we have how many choices? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of the 5 works depending on condition. This will be the good example for else if ladder. In examination, if you get a question on else if ladder, I request you to explain first. I request you to write the syntax. I request you to give the example. If you have time, you can write the output also. I think